Here we are. I love that song. I missed the other one, man, but I love that song, Monsters and Heroes. Hi, everybody. Ron Onesti here on Artists on Lockdown, hanging and banging our 46th week that we've been rocking and rolling. This is really, really something. I am here at Rock and Roll Heaven right outside of Chicago, St. Charles, Illinois, at the beautiful Arcada Theater. And tonight is just another incredible night. But I got to tell you, the call, the demand for this show has been incredible. Tonight we have very special guests, Weird Al Yankovic and of course Rick Derringer. And before I bring those guys on, I'm going to bring my brothers to the microphone. First, I got to see exactly when his birthday is, because sometimes I call him my fraternal brother, my young brother, my little brother. Where he had Vinny Appice from Dio, Black Sabbath, and something else he's doing right now. What are you doing? Going over one of those extensive contracts you have with?
Oh, we're on. We're on. This is Carmine's company. The statement for the $8. I think the check's in there too.
It's working out well, being the brother of a superstar, huh?
Yeah, being the brother of the legendary.
Carmine. I mean him.
Yeah,
he's the brother of legendary.
That's right. I like that. So, Ron, you're looking pretty good over there.
I'm a collegiate this week. I didn't have the rock and roll T-shirt on. Didn't have the suit on. I didn't know what to do. You totally confused me last week. You showed up in a Godfather fedora, a black and white suit, a white shirt that I'm sure you had to borrow from somebody.
No, it's been in the closet for years.
I mean, you don't own a white shirt.
There's two white shirts in there, and they've been in there for years.
Was that from your serving days at restaurants at the?
I don't know what. Yeah, when I was a waiter. A waiter. No, I don't even know why they're in there. Matter of fact, I think I'll throw them out along with this statement.
Now, what year are you born?
1960.
Okay, so you are older than I. I'm 62, and I keep wanting to call you my little brother because you're the little brother, but you're older than I.
You're 62 years old?
I look good, don't I?
Yeah, you look pretty good.
Hey, speaking of, well, I don't want to say that, but let's bring our older brother to the screen. You know him from, my gosh, Vanilla Fudge, but so many other things. Look at this guy. Happy birthday, Carmine. Give me a chance here. Hey, Carminucci. Good to see you, brother. So,
how you doing?
So, what is your birthday here?
Yeah, that was from my 60th birthday party that we did in New York.
20 years ago.
Yeah, that was during the riots of 69, wasn't
14 years ago. See, it was it's a little cup holder thing, you know.
That's beautiful.
So I have it on my desk here, you know.
So you guys doing good this week, huh? Been rocking and rolling all week?
Yeah, I've been doing really good.
Vin, what is that behind you? I can't see it. Say
Sawtooth. That's my drums.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Sawtooth.
My drum set. There you go.
Hey, Vinny forgot to tell you, those white shirts are for weddings and funerals.
Right. Which are one and the same for many people.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's after you get married, there's the funeral.
Listen, we could small talk all night, but we just can't do that today, guys. We just can't. This is a big ass show we got tonight, man.
Yeah, man.
So excited. So these two guys, you know, you think about the two names, you may or may not think of them in the same context, a couple different genres and everything, but they are really, really connected a little bit at the hip, actually. So we're going to find out all about that and some other great stories. Let's bring our first guest. You know, he's like Madonna now, because I don't even know why he used the Yankovic part. I really don't. I really don't know why. It's extra letters, and promoters like me, we got to pay by the letter sometimes in print. So I wish he would just go by our good friend Weird Al. Come on, to the screen.
Hey. You know, that's a good point. You know, there's only a handful of people, you know, just by the first name. There's Cher, there's Bono, Beyonce, Al. I mean, right. What can I say?
I would go with just Weird and not the L, but that's
what I was going to say. Could we call you Weird for short?
I don't think we're quite on a first adjective basis yet. So let's just work up to that.
First adjective basis. I mean, you know, I can't even say it because you grow up and who aspires to be called like Weird Ron or Weird Vinny or Weird...
Well, nobody Weird Ron. That's ridiculous.
I know.
That doesn't work at all. No, it doesn't scan.
But
Doesn't
is
work.
that something you're like? I mean, it's hard to say. Yeah, I'm proud of that. Call me Weird Al.
Well, that was like a life dream of mine. That was just sort of an accident that became a career. They started calling me Weird Al in the dorms in college, and it was not meant as a compliment.
You can see that. That's what I'm saying. I would think you'd have to go to therapy from that.
Right.
What do you call that?
So I'm working. My whole career is just me working through the pain.
Hey, there's nobody else called Weird, right? In the business.
As far as I know, not to their face.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Hey, we got, again, as I mentioned before in the intro here, our next guest, if you don't know the history, you don't know some of the background, I don't know that you would think of Weird Al and Rick Derringer in the same sentence, but there's so much connecting you two, and we're really excited to have him on. Let's bring our buddy, the legend himself, Mr. Rick Derringer.
Rick!
Hey!
Hey,
I just have one question, and that is when you did the intro, you said Weird Al Yankovic and of course Rick Derringer. I want to know.
I was going to ask about that.
What is that?
And it just goes without saying.
See,
Like,
that's
Rick's
what I was-
on every show. Like, of course Rick's here.
Of course, I meant Rick. You called me out on it because that's why I was doing this back. I was actually backpedaling just now because I heard myself say that. Why would you say of course? And I'm
He
thinking
screwed it up.
I screwed it up because I got to try to connect the two.
I think every intro should be, and of course, Rick Derringer.
Yeah.
He
Why not?
almost called him Weird Rick.
And of
And-
course,
and-
Jenna.
Hi, they're joined at the hip like Siamese twins, you said. So
Aw.
that's
You
an
know what?
insult to Siamese twins.
Oh man! You know what? Let's take two. The whole thing. Let's just start the whole thing over again.
Okay, here
Do
we
it
go.
again.
Okay, there we go.
Take two.
And go. And go.
Good.
It's of course it's Weird Al. And
Hey!
So how you guys, Rick? What you been doing since the COVID? You've been producing. What you been doing?
I'd rather not talk about COVID, but for 54 years, I toured all year, basically, except when I was working with Al.
Sure, right.
Those few months at a time, I would be in the studio. But this COVID thing brought in the first year ever where I didn't tour. I didn't have a year of touring. And I thought I'd go crazy. I said, this is going to be like, what am I going to do? And about halfway through the year, I went, this retirement thing is pretty good.
No, it's terrible. Don't do it. We'll miss you. Us guys, we'll miss you in our theaters.
Yeah.
How about
we're
you,
all
Al? What you been up to, man?
same thing.
2020 was supposed to be my year off, so it kind of worked out for me. It was like, it became the mandatory year off.
Yeah, right.
But it was sort of like, cause I learned, Rick, I guess you don't have this problem, but for me, if I tour 3 years on the road, the third year, people are like, yeah, we've seen this already, and you kind of want to leave them wanting a little bit more. So usually, like, I tour for 2 years, and the third year is sort of like let the grounds lay fallow and let people, miss you a little bit. So that was 2020. But we were supposed to be touring this year. In fact, we were supposed to be touring starting in February, and that obviously didn't happen. And then the tour got pushed to fall this year, and we figured that's cutting it a little close, maybe. So now tentatively we're starting like spring of 2022. So we're hoping the world is back to some bit of normalcy by that point.
Well, so that's
You're right.
That's
I love
literally
when
years.
you
Go ahead,
tour.
Rick, I'm sorry.
I love when Al tours because then people go out and buy his records again.
Yeah.
Good for my pocketbook.
There you go.
So let's put that connection together for the like 2 or 3 people that don't know how you were his first producer or produced his first album and involved with Eat It and Who's Fat and all that connection there, Rick.
Yeah, first 6 albums.
Six albums, right.
6 albums. I was working with he was like my manager. Jake Hooker was this guy's name.
Was he not your manager?
Well, he was sort of my
I tell
manager.
everybody he's your manager.
He was your manager. He was your manager.
He co-wrote I Love Rock and Roll. Now, when a parody artist wants to collect some of the royalties for rewriting those lyrics, he has to go to the original writer and say, hey, I've rewritten your lyrics. Is it cool for me to share your royalties? In this case, he had to go to Jake Hooker because he had then written I Love Rocky Road. So Jake Hooker called me up and said, well, what do you think? I got this guy, and he came in and he brought this song, and
Come on, you got.
so my folks, when I was growing up, they had a great record collection that included a lot of Spike Jones,
Oh yeah.
people that you would call parody artists, I guess. And even as a kid, I realized, you know what? These guys, when they're very popular, they don't have competition. There's not like a ton of them on the label, on the charts at the same time. There's only one of those kind of guys. I said, does Al have any more songs like this? And the answer I got back was, yeah, he has tons of them. So I said, let's go. Let's just do a single. What is this guy doing a single for? Let's do a whole album. And I went ahead and got a studio in LA to say, bring him on in. And we went ahead and made his first album without a record company because I believed in him that much.
But that's crazy.
And you used my bass drum.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, then the rest was history. We were just like I
amazing.
proposed in my mind. Al was successful right out of the box, and everything.
What was the first song? What was the first song released?
Really?
Well, the first, I Love Rocky Road is how it got started. The first single from the album, I think, was Ricky, which was the parody of Mickey by Tony Basil.
Yeah.
You're
About
so
Ricky Ricardo.
Hey, Ricky. Hey, Lucy.
Right.
What label was signed? Did you sign to?
It was Scotty Brothers, although we were an imprint of Scotty Brothers called Rock and Roll, which was Tad Dowd's label. He was sort of like the cheerleader for us. He was like, "Yeah, you got to sign this guy, this accordion guy, Weird Al. Yeah, he's great."
And I got to tell you a little bit about that Scotty Brothers story. The Scotty Brothers were famous as promoters, record promoters, independent record promoters out in the United States. And one of the stories I like is the secretary downstairs below the studio, the radio studio. She admitted the Scotty Brothers to go up and see the program director. And while he was in the office with the program director, she heard a commotion. And a few minutes later, she saw the Scotty Brothers carrying the program director out with a broken leg.
Wow.
And so I said, wow, these guys, Scotty Brothers, they've got a reputation. They'll probably cheat the crap out of us, but we can depend on having hits.
Yes. Wow. I will say, I've heard stories like that. I will say they never broke my legs. So I just want to put that out there.
That's important. That's really important. I mean, that's really something how, now.
You better use the word hits, like quietly with those guys.
Well, these.
But I suggested, let's do it. Let's go with the Scotty Brothers, man.
And that's the thing, because now, obviously, everyone's doing their own thing, and it's all social media, but you doing it, circumventing the whole record label process at that time, that's pretty bold move.
It was. It was a very bold move, but other people believed in him too when I brought
Especially
it.
an unproven. Something unproven like this.
When I brought the idea into the recording studio that we used.
It was Cherokee Studios in Hollywood.
Yeah, Cherokee.
Believed.
Oh, Cherokee.
They also believed. They said, this sounds like a good idea. Let's go.
They want to make I mean, they got a nice cut of the first 3 albums, I think, for letting us do the first one on spec.
But Al, you got Rick Derringer, just a rock and roll freaking maniac, and he's believing in you, and Scotty Brothers is going on, and you're there. You got that afro going, and you got an accordion hanging from your neck, and are you thinking like, holy crap, what the heck's happening to me?
It was like rock and roll fantasy camp. The whole thing was just surrealistic for me because I literally was like a couple years out of college at the most. I was working minimum wage at a day job, and I'm working with rock god Rick Derringer, and I'm in the studio and I'm doing my first album, and it just didn't seem real. I didn't really have a life plan. I didn't really think I'm going to be in show business the rest of my life. I just was like, let's try this. Let's see if this works. But it was just amazing. The first album, Rick, you'll back me up on this, I'm sure. we recorded it very quickly. I'm not sure why, because we were getting the studio time for free. It was stood on spec, but I remember we got through like 10 basic tracks in like 3 hours. We just like we zoomed through it. It was like, that one was a little fast. It's fine. Let's keep going. Let's move on.
In fact,
it was great though.
I believe we used that little fast kind of as a formula a little bit. We'd take the original song,
right?
Just a little fast.
Well, that's sort of like the formula. Like anything that sounds good, make it a little bit faster. Because of comedy, you don't want it to you want it to be just have a little bit more energy, almost imperceptible.
Yeah.
You know, I've been very fortunate. Rick's played at my place at the Arcada Theater several times, several incarnations, and I also had the privilege of having Al at my place. A production, incredible fantasy video wall. I mean, it's an incredible production. He's one of the nicest guys, Weird Al. I mean, it really is very. But if there's one little thing wrong with the production, he kind of gets. Well, we had a little issue. I don't know. Ben, do you have that picture from the show? There's the picture from the show when he was by me in St. Charles. There was one little thing off. I think his didn't get the green M&Ms in the end.
I like things to be right. We have a writer for a reason.
Yeah. You got to read it.
But really,
got to make sure all the M&Ms are there.
It's and speaking of M&Ms, do you know what I mean, Al? Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? I love that. Anyway, that's from his Weird Al TV show that you would do all these parodies on a television thing. How did that all happen when you decided to go from music to TV?
Well, that was just MTV. I mean, they played me early on. I think my videos were the very first comedy videos ever played on MTV. And early on, I mean, MTV got very, very corporate very quickly. But in the early guerrilla days, I mean, it was sort of like anything goes. It was fun to watch because you really got the sense that, even though it was a national, it went out nationally, it felt very much like local, public access TV. It just felt like anything can happen. And they literally said, it's April Fool's Day. You can have the channel for 4 hours. Do anything you want. We don't care. Here, go now. And it's like they gave you complete freedom to do anything you wanted. So I took advantage of that and did some really crazy stuff.
We did that show. Remember, Al?
On Al TV?
Blue Murder.
Oh, yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, we did that show. And it was kind of crazy because, we watched the show and we go, sure, we deserve to be on this show. It's like a comedy show. But it was great, and we actually prepared for it, and we supposed to be playing live, so we did live vocals and we re-recorded the tracks, and then we actually learned the tracks that we re-recorded, so it looked like we were really playing it. So to this day, people see it on YouTube, they think we played live on your show, when all we had was live vocals.
Huh.
It's really incredible stuff.
You're pulling back the curtain now. I mean, people shouldn't know this stuff.
Yeah, that's
right.
Secrets.
Hey, they did that when I did Shindig all the way back in the 60s.
I did Shindig too.
They recorded Hang On Snoopy the night before in the studio where the TV show was done, but they recorded it, and then you came in the next day and pantomimed to a live recording that you had previous night. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, since we're going back to the origins there, Rick, I mean, you're 17 years old. You've got, you got the number one song in the nation comes out, and you probably didn't even realize the whole thing was happening. And the ironic thing is they're looking for a band to kind of emulate the Beatles. Is kind of like the structure they're looking for. You come on and do this, and ironically knock the Beatles out of number one.
Well, they were looking for 4 young guys who were really talented, who were really naive, and they could really take advantage of us. That's
how it turned out. Huh?
That's the dream.
That's the dream right there, boy.
And how did that, but you're 17 and all of a sudden you're slapped in the face with the number one song in the country.
We were number one, while Yesterday by the Beatles was number 2. We were in the same league with the Beatles. We did the whole Rolling Stones first tour in the United States on the plane with them. We toured the whole United States with the Rolling Stones. And we were, the people that we'd walk out of a radio station and there'd be hundreds of girls out there pulling our clothes. We did it. And then when I went and played with Ringo as part of the all-star band, people say, now you know what it's like to be a Beatle. I went, what do you mean? I knew what it was like to be a Beatle when I was a Beatle.
That's a good one.
We do a lot of, obviously,
Amazing.
We're all into our rock and roll. People know me from the rock and roll that I do, and you guys with rock and roll. Little known fact about me, Al, I am a huge Dick Contino fan.
Oh, I knew that.
Huge.
I could tell by just the way you carried yourself. It's obvious.
Lady of Spain, come on. I love that stuff. So
Now, have you seen some of Dick Contino's album covers? I love these. If you go
chest?
back, half of his album covers he's there with the accordion, and he's got beautiful women draped on his arms and legs, like he's like an accordion sex symbol. Which there hasn't been another one till I came around, of course, but no, he just showed that the accordion is just back then was like a very hip kind of sexy instrument, apparently.
No, I would have stories with him. I used them 100 times. He would talk about it, that he would compare, as Rick was saying, that's what brought it to my mind. You're talking about being kind of on the same plane at the same time with the Beatles. He would talk in depth about being on the same plane with Elvis, that he was the Elvis and Tom Jones.
Oh, totally.
Wow.
That's how I'm just telling you. That's what he would say. God rest his soul, right?
Yeah.
But what made you, okay, so again, you've got the accordion hanging from you. Matter of fact, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Al, it's either today or yesterday, 40th anniversary of you being on your first TV show with, was it Tom Snyder?
Right, Tom Snyder. That was 40 years ago yesterday, yeah. First ever national TV appearance, and that Another One Rides the Bus was our only hit at the time, and it was me playing the accordion on my drummer, the guy John Bermuda Schwartz, who is still my drummer to this very day. He was banging on my accordion case for percussion, and that was our first. And we were on the show with two other people that did novelty music. It wasn't on our show tonight it's Weird Al Yankovic. It was we got three crazy nutty kids who think they're funny, and here's their songs, and it was just. That was it. That was it.
But if you look at this, and I really encourage everybody to Google this, because it's really something to see. You look at, again, your production value now is off the charts, right? And you look at that, it's such a Spike Jones college kid trying to do his best kind of performance.
Well, it was punk rock is what it was. It was punk rock with an accordion.
Okay, accordion punk rock. I'll give you that.
And you think his productions are meticulous. You should see his Christmas cards.
Rick's on the Christmas card list. He gets a little Photoshop going on usually.
Yeah, one of my favorites was the one where you and your family are riding on the huge bee. You're actually
yes,
the bee.
That was B. Mary, I think. Yeah.
The definition, you could see every little hair on the bee's legs and stuff. It was incredible.
Oh, thank you. I photographed that bee myself and then downloaded it from the internet.
Who's that?
Oh, hello. Hi there.
It's Elsa. Hey, Elsa. Say hello, everyone. Say hello.
Elsa.
Hi, Elsa.
I loved you in Frozen.
That's why she got her name.
My biggest role ever. Glad to be here.
I'd like to thank all the people I've pissed on the way up. Anyway, Rick, we're also big fans of garage rock. It's hard to imagine. I think of garage rock and I think of the Ides of March, Buckingham's, New Colony 6, Crying Shames, Shadows of Night, that kind of garage rock feel. And you were, the McCoys are put into that realm at the beginning. And to go from garage rock, Hang On Sloopy, to rock and roll hoochie coo, it's almost like two different people.
Oh, the whole when I played with Johnny Winter, that was the big booster in my life. The McCoys were getting known as what they used to call bubble gum music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We looked at ourselves as good musicians, so that was the worst thing people could say about us. and it really made us feel terrible. So when we finally got the opportunity to join Johnny Winter, the term Johnny Winter and, which was the name of the first band, just was simply Johnny Winter and the McCoys. But they were ashamed to say the McCoys. So they said, let's just shorten it to Johnny Winter and. But that was the real.
Wow. Cool.
Wow.
It brought me into the world of somehow people legitimacy.
And then
That's right.
We did a lot of gigs with you, Rick, with Johnny Winter and with Cactus at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah.
And I never knew with the and. I just met it was Johnny Winter and his band, but I never knew that. I didn't realize it was all the McCoy, Randy Hobbs.
And the band that shall not be
He was in the
named.
McCoys.
Yeah.
And Voldemort.
Voldemort. Wow.
Randy Hobbs was in the McCoys.
Yes.
No, I
Yes.
didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah, he was the bass player in the McCoys. We sang, hey, hang on, Slippy, we were known for vocals, I guess. But Randy was a good singer, as well as one of the best
And
bass.
who played drums in that?
My brother played drums, Randy.
In Johnny Winter and?
Yes, the original Johnny Winter and
I
the whole
didn't
first
realize.
album is my brother on drums, Randy Joe Hobbs on bass, myself on the other guitar,
Wow.
and Johnny.
Hey, when I did the TV show with John Lennon, they didn't name my band either. They said, "Here we are, John Lennon and etc." That was ETC.
That's
Okay.
How's that for a career move? Hey guys, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break here because we do this thing. Vinny and Carmine.
Wow.
What do we have ahead of us, boys, with this commercial that we're doing right now?
I don't know which one is up there. I think it's next week for. There you go.
The last one.
Let's see what we got here.
Hey, there's Carmine Appice and Vinny on the bike. He can't talk, so I'm here to tell you about the Hangin' Bangin' show. April 29th, we have Mark Hudson from the Hudson Brothers and work with Ringo and everybody else, Aerosmith. And we have a new band called Dirty Honey who are upsetting all the radio waves. And Vinny's over here dying, so before he dies, I just want to get this over with. So that's April 29th, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific on Hangin' and Bangin', Artists on Lockdown. Also on YouTube, Artists on Lockdown, Carmine and Vinny Appice, or Appice, however you want to say it. So see you there, and we'll be rocking. Right, Vinny?
That was that one of your vocals? That was one of the best vocals I've heard in a long
I was
time.
on that thing for 2 hours. Carmine couldn't get it right, so I had to keep
bet.
going.
I
He's
bet.
dying.
Okay, here's a free idea for your podcast. You should start it out like Buck Owens and Roy Clark from Hee Haw and say, "I'm hanging and I'm banging."
Down, 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 down,
Down, down, down, down, down, down, down, down, down, down.
That's a good idea, Al. So I'll tell you what, you do a little
That's
video
for free. I
us.
give that to you for free.
You say, I'm hanging, and Vinny will go, I'm banging, and there you go. That'll be the
Yeah.
intro for our show all the time.
Well, that's
and
how long has
right-
it been since you said that, Vinny? I'm banging. Come on, it's been a
Yeah,
long
I'm
time.
banging.
I was
I'm
going to
always
say,
banging.
while we're talking about Vinny, I'd be really wrong if I didn't say one of my favorite bands I ever had was the band with Vinny as our drummer.
Hey!
Hey!
And Rick was the guy who brought me into the business, and I always think about you and thank you very much. He brought me in. He taught me a hell of a lot, and I always talk about you.
But wait,
I called up. I was trying to find Vinny, and I called their mother,
Yeah.
and she goes, "No, you must be trying to get a hold of Carmine." No, I'm not. I'm trying to get in touch with Vinny. And so she turned me on to where he was and where I could find him, and the rest was history.
Oh
Yeah.
no, what's the beginning of history? How did you hear about him in the first place, Rick?
The record plant.
Yeah, probably at the record plant. Well, I also, obviously, Carmine is famous, and I figured if his little brother was anything, he was probably crazier than Carmine, and who knows, maybe even better.
Hey, take it easy now.
But
That's
that's
what
the way
he
my
said.
mind was working.
Yeah.
But that's cool. You worked with the little brother. It's interesting because you worked with the little brother first, and then you wound up doing a project with Tim and Carmine.
Yeah,
we did 2 projects actually, and we went to Japan.
We did.
And we went to Japan. We played we went to Japan with Rock Carmine Appice Rock Super Session, Volume 1. We had me, Rick, Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick, Eric Carmen on piano. Or Eric
Holy
Carmen,
shit.
he was always had a bit too much to drink, and Dwayne Hitchings, and we played the Budokan.
Wow.
Actually, and we sold out, and we played all the big halls over there, and we did really well. It's a
Hey
lot
Rick,
of fun.
thanks for saying that. That's really touching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
I can't
I don't
forget
get.
him.
I'm not a touching kind of guy, but that was really touching. You're
You
special.
were there last time you were by me. That's a whole other. Do you think, you said that at the Budokan, you think that's where maybe like Tom first, experienced the Budokan, and then, where they did the album later, or?
No, they had done the album already.
So did that?
But he was out.
So it had
He
no
was out of-
connection to it.
No, he was
I think
out.
that-
He was out of Cheap Trick at the time, and my manager booked this. I had just come out of Rod Stewart.
Oh,
and,
this is later.
Rod was doing 6 nights at the Budokan, so, and I always had a good following there. BBA played the Budokan, and we always had a big following there. So when we went, it was just right out of Rod, and my album was coming out then, my first solo album, and it was unbelievable. Like what a great time we had. I mean, I remember I took all my drums first of all, but I took 2 giant trunks of clothes with me. I remember standing at the airport and Narita, and these 2 giant trunks come off, and my roadies over there running around to try and get it. I don't know. Did we all fly there together? I can't remember. Rick, do you remember?
No.
I don't.
Very vague memories of a
I
certain.
remember
journey.
I had to have 2 rooms because the trunks were so big they wouldn't fit in the Japanese rooms, which were smaller. So I had to get another room just for the trunks. But it was a great time. And you can imagine me, Rick Derringer, and Tom Peterson playing all by myself.
I know.
Right? That was the killer one. And half the time, by the time that came around, Eric had a few too many, on the stage.
Pretty funny. Well, Rick, you're one of the rare. I mean, these guys, I have to tell you, between Carmine and Vinny, the amount of bands and projects they've worked on as drummers, so many people. I mean, it's countless. It really, really is. But you're one of the rare guys, I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. One of the rare guys that's actually have done several projects with both of the guys.
Yeah.
What was
Totally.
Yeah, Dick Jones.
So what was is there a noticeable difference? You're with Vinny, and then you're with Carmine. Like, wait a second, this is different.
Oh, I'll answer for Rick. It was incredible what played with me. Carmine, not so much.
Well, Carmine is more dependable in some ways.
Oh!
Vinny
That's
is more of a rebel. We actually did B.B. King's club in New York City, and in the middle of the set, he hit the bass drum so hard that he got up and pulled the beater out, and he had bent the beater in half. So he's showing the audience the beater bent in half while the song is still playing. So I never saw Carmine do that.
But he got that from me.
And we used to play the song Rebel Rebel.
Yes, we did.
Right. Faster. It wasn't comedy, Al, but we played it fast.
It's funnier. It's funnier that way.
It's a lot
Yeah, it was
funnier.
funny. Yeah.
But I should, before we get too far gone here, I should say I really, really enjoyed working with Al. I'd don't come out there to Hollywood, and I'd get to feel like I lived there for a few months at a time for 6 albums. And that's one of the things that I can brag about. I produced Weird Al's first 6 albums.
Yeah.
But what I don't get to tell people about is it pretty much destroyed my production career.
Because how can you possibly live up to that after that?
Right. No, I'd get production. I'd get people come to me and say, we're looking to maybe you do our next album, and then they check into, oh, but you produced Weird Al's albums, and I'd go, yeah, they were all successful, they all did great, and they'd go, but you're a novelty producer. I'd go, what? I'd tell them the only novel thing about Al is how hard he works in the studio as compared to all the other artists I've worked with.
Well, thanks, man. Well, did I at least help you get the wrestling album job?
Yeah. You did.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember we did. I did the wrestling with you.
But how
And
did
the
that all?
wrestling album produced "I Am a Real American," which is one of my biggest songs. over the
Yep.
Love it. Hulk Hogan's theme song, but that's really
Or
that's yours.
Two presidents have used it already, and several other politicians have used it as well. So it is more than just a wrestler's theme song.
Yeah.
Well, you wrote that song pretty much. That describes you. I mean, that's you.
Real American. Well, I had a writing partner that co-wrote it with me, and we really just we had no idea it would be done on a wrestling album. We just wanted to write the most patriotic song ever. And when we finished writing it, we listened to it back, and we actually cried. We said, oh, this thing is fabulous, because we thought it was the most patriotic song ever. So in some ways, even though Hulk Hogan still uses it to this day, it was a little bit of a letdown when we found that it's now a wrestler's theme song.
As long as the residuals keep coming in, right?
As long as they keep coming in. Thank you
That's
very much.
right. Al, now I'm sure you've been asked the question 1,000 times. Did you ever piss anybody off with this? And I know your answer has been many times you really haven't done a parody that's really pissed anybody off. But have you ever been involved with one and you're got all this freaking makeup or all this stuff going on, and in your head you're going, what am I doing? This one is not good. Has that ever hit you like holy crap? Like, I don't even like this one.
Yeah, every time I'm on a video shoot, my interior monologue is, "This sucks!
Well, I meant
What am I doing? Why am I here?"
Al, tell them about It's Still Billy Joel to Me.
Oh no. Well, I mean, that was a song that I wrote when I was in college, like 19, 20 years old, and it was a parody of It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. But it was years before a record deal, and it was just sort of like, it was kind of mean-spirited about Billy Joel because he had just put out the Glass Houses, and everybody was making fun of him for jumping on the new wave bandwagon. So the whole song was about that and taking him apart. And then a tape of that started circulating through the Dr. Demento show, and Billy Joel heard it, and they actually got his reaction on camera listening to it for the first time, and he said something to the effect of, "Well, I guess people in LA don't have anything better to do with their time." And it didn't like bring him down, but he was just sort of like, "Oh, whatever, this kid." But that was the point where I thought, like, I don't want to like be mean to people. I mean, you can be funny without tearing people down.
But wasn't he one of the only people that ever refused you?
No, because I never sought his permission for that song, and I never wanted that on the album, actually. And in fact, I did get his permission a couple decades after that, because they did a Piano Man parody about Spider-Man, and that was done with Billy Joel's full consent and blessing.
Right.
We do a thing on here sometimes. I talk about some of my the artists' like favorite album song titles. But I gotta say that it's a song title for you, but Mr. Frump and the Iron Lung is one of my favorite song titles. What is the story of Mr. Frump and the Iron Lung?
It's hard. I wish I had my accordion here. I could give you a full demonstration.
How do you not have your accordion with you?
It's in the next room. Come on, I'd have to walk. But no, it's that was written around the sound that the air button on an accordion makes. Because like when you're using the accordion and you end a song and the bellows are outstretched, you can't just like mush the accordion together because that makes a loud noise. You have to press the air button. It's a nice, quiet, elegant way to close the bellows on the accordion.
Yeah, it's a release.
And a friend of mine in college, when I was using the air button, he said, "Oh, what is that? An iron lung?" And I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is a song." So I wrote the whole song based around the sound that air button makes.
But what's Mr. Frump?
Mr. Frump was just a figment of my imagination. I don't know where the name Frump came from. I was 16, 17 years old at the time, so I don't know.
It sounds funny, Mr.
Yeah.
Frump.
Yeah,
I love
funny
it.
it's
name.
a good name.
I loved it. A lot of people, I don't know if realize just what a baseball fan you are, Rick.
What, a baseball fan?
Yeah, I mean, the project you did with Tom Seaver, who we just lost, unfortunately, but some of the things that the songs you did a version of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," which I can't think of. Was it a real rock and roll version?
That's the first silence I've heard in the show.
I know. You don't remember this?
No.
You did it with Tom Seaver. You did "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
He's done so much. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. I can't even remember it
forgot.
all now.
Well, trust me, it was
I
wonderful.
do have
No,
an
Ron, that was Vinny.
Oh, that was
That was
Vinny.
Vinny?
Okay,
Me?
that's even
I
more
have an
songs for to
idea
get.
Vinny's a
I-
big baseball fan.
Oh yeah.
I have an idea for a
Love it.
Weird Al album, and
Yes.
I'm not going to tell anybody now
Oh, what good
because
is it then?
Al would go ahead and do it without me, and otherwise one of you guys would go ahead and do it instead of me. So I'm going to wait till Al and I can speak in private at some point. I have a
Okay.
great idea,
Well,
and
look
you
forward to
guys
hearing about
don't
it.
get to hear it.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
Al, I was starting to talk about, nobody's actually said no to you and all that stuff, but I can't imagine. I mean, did the Amish people, when we did Amish Paradise, how did that mean? What was that response?
Well, the Amish people historically aren't big MTV watchers, so I'm not really sure if they ever saw it. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't imagine. Through some grapevine, they heard about it or something.
They might have during Rum Spring. They might have heard it, but no. I mean, I've never had any kind of Amish backlash. Let's say
Amish. That's a great song name right there.
I was never canceled by the Amish.
Come on, that's a great song, Amish Backlash. Maybe that's
Yeah.
a band name.
That sounds like a album right there, Rick.
Right.
That's
Is that the album idea, Rick?
No, that wasn't it. No,
Oh.
that wasn't it.
Rick.
I always enjoyed the polka parodies. The polka.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, me too.
always fun.
It's amazing how you made polkas cool again, Al. I mean, you just did.
Well, it was. I just thought that the juxtaposition of polka music and popular rock music, I thought there was some kind of humor to be gleaned from that. And I mean, it came from when I was a teenager trying to get people to be in my high school band, and nobody wanted to play with me because they said everything you play with an accordion sounds like polka music. We want to play with you. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna start being the polka rock guy.
I got a question for Vinny. When was the last time you played a polka, Vin?
I played poker, 5 card, 7 card. Hey Al, is that your real last name?
Is what my real last name?
Yankovic. Not
Yeah,
weird.
Yankovic. Yeah,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
Really?
It is,
It
yeah,
is?
and people assume that I'm related to Frankie Yankovic, the Polka King. It was like, one of
that's
the
right.
most famous accordion players, and from the mid, people assumed I grew up in Cleveland because Frankie was from Cleveland. And
Wow.
as far as we could tell, no direct relation. I met Frankie a couple times. I had him on a Grammy special that I did like in the late 80s. Very cool guy. He was on my Christmas card list, Rick, as well, Frankie Yankovic.
Wow, how cool is that?
Passed away a couple decades ago, but he was an amazing guy.
Was Dick Contino on your Christmas list?
I played with Dick Contino on stage. He never made it that far. He did. I never had his email address. But I got to play with Dick Contino and Drew Carey and those darn accordions on, I think it was an American Music Awards. It was some kind of big show. And Drew Carey, of course, another big polka aficionado from Cleveland, wanted to support the accordion, so he had every accordion player he knew on stage at the same time.
Well, Al, you now have my email and Vinny's email and Ron's email. So
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm expecting
Hey,
some
Christmas
sort of
card.
cool card.
You're there.
And you know
Okay.
what, Al, you're a big star and everything, but we really didn't want to have you on this show until we found out about Mary Elizabeth Vivalda.
Is this like the baseball thing?
Yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Devalga?
Who's that?
So.
Oh, Vivaldi, my
Vivalda.
mother.
Yes, Vivalda.
Oh. Okay,
That
yeah.
one.
Yes. Now you can get into my bank account and know my mother's maiden name.
Well, no, the fact is you're Italian.
What about what now?
You've got Italian roots.
My social security number 429. Yeah. I'm 1/4 Italian. My grandfather on my mother's side emigrated from Italy. So yeah.
See, that's a big. You gotta understand, it's a big deal to us, Al.
Yeah,
Okay.
like we found out Eddie Trunk was Italian.
Yeah.
1/2. So.
Well, Trunk's a good Italian name.
Yeah.
Well, that's because what you're put in.
Hey, Al, what bank is that?
Well, Cracker Bank, of course.
Al, did you ever know, I'm sure you did, that Rush Limbaugh used Spatula City regularly on his show?
I didn't listen to the show, but my aunt Dot listened to the show for years, and I was told that was a regular part of the show through Spatula City, which I don't think he ever credited me for. He just played it like a real commercial.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It would just be part of his in between. If you listen to Rush.com, where the commercials would be on the radio, he would have his own little show that he would run for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever it was. And one of the things that was part of that little show was the whole entire Spatula City. And I always loved it. Yeah, this is cool, man.
I remember when we were shooting that's from the UHF soundtrack, and it's in the movie UHF, and we didn't do CGI back then because this was like in the 80s, so we had an actual billboard for Spatula City, and we shot it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but we actually had the billboard, and they didn't take it down after we were done shooting, so there was a billboard for Spatula City off the freeway in Tulsa, Oklahoma for like an entire year. People would be driving by Spatula City, next exit.
It's a culinary experience, apparently.
Yeah.
Rick, you know, back in the day again, who is that? You know, you got a good head on your shoulders there, Rick.
Yeah. A beautiful co-writer wife, Jenda.
There's Jenda.
Hi, everyone. Did I hear Al? I missed seeing you last time. It was great. Did you have an Aunt Dot?
Yes, I had an Aunt Dot.
Me too. I have an Aunt Dot.
Oh, the same one?
The same one.
Wow. Are we related?
We are, and my granddad's twin brother, identical, was Albert Hall, so he was in 2 Beatles songs.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's long.
I've got
when
Uncle
you
Dash. I
Albert
don't know.
Hall
That's a good name.
This is a funny show. I like.
I would just go by Al Hall in that case.
Yeah. Okay. Al Hall. Right.
Weird Al Hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick, speaking of weird.
I'm still Hall right now, but I'll be Derringer next week after 24 years together.
You know, that's funny. That's funny.
Wow.
I was married 2 other times, and the first one, after we divorced, kept the name Derringer, and even though she got remarried, kept the name Derringer. And the second one kept the name Derringer after she was remarried too. So this is the first wife I've ever had that we've been together 24 years, and she didn't take the name Derringer.
Because I'm not to ride him, you know, and that's really blow to the balls to keep the ex-husband's name when you get remarried.
Well,
The next guy, you know, that's not nice either. And I just didn't want to use the name Derringer because I wanted him to know I love him for him.
Oh my goodness!
But
But
isn't
you were
your
on an
name-
album cover,
Well-
weren't you?
Yeah.
well,
Isn't it
talking about ex-wives with the name. I got about 5 of them running around L.A. with my last name.
They all use it.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's interesting how a sentence. It's just interesting how a sentence starts when you start a sentence with, you know, this is the first one of my wives that. You know, it's just kind of an interesting.
Well, this one right here saved my life, frankly.
God bless her.
Yeah.
God bless her.
I was toward the end of my tenure with Al. I was on a trajectory that wasn't good. It was a downward spiral that usually ends in people's dying.
Yeah.
And when I met Jenda, she really saved my life. because she showed me there's another way you can live, and it doesn't require drinking, and it doesn't require drugs, and you don't need to be a Catholic to be a Christian, and it saved my life. So here I am, a Jesus.
Jesus
Amen.
freak.
Yay!
Amen.
Self-proclaimed Jesus freak.
God kept
That's right.
telling me to go to him and give him a message, and I wouldn't do it, and my heart kept pounding for like weeks. So finally I told a friend of mine, she had some mudslides left from New Year's Eve, and she said, come over for a mudslide, and she'd never done that. We've been neighbors for years on the water, and I sold her some houses, and she sold me some houses, and anyway, it all slid out with a mudslide. I said, well, I met Rick Derringer a few months ago, and he wants me to talk to him. And she said, you got to go to him. So I had to go to his next show from Sarasota to Fort Lauderdale. And then I gave him a message. I never tell anybody this. I gave him a message, and I said, I have no idea what this means, but whatever.
Hey, you're telling a lot of people this now.
Whatever it is, you're doing the right
Millions.
thing. I said.
Yeah.
Millions of people are going to hear
Millions.
this.
Let her say it.
Right thing. I had no idea what this means, but whatever it is, you're doing the right thing. I drove all the way in the pouring rain to tell you this.
And that was continue being divorced from that second wife.
I thought my message was over and I could leave and finally stop having my heart attack, but we end up together forever.
Jenda, weren't you on an album cover or a poster or something?
A lot of them, many of them, like, yeah, Derringer times 2, We Live, Aiming for Heaven, Free Ride. You're talking about Free Ride.
Free Ride, yes.
Sold for the hot and cool smooth jazz CD.
Yeah, we wrote a smooth jazz hit together.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's Derringer smooth jazz. It's
Yeah.
like Derringer Yankovic. You just don't think that.
Actually, Rick, your last name's Zeringer, right?
It's with a Z.
With a
Zering-
Z, yeah.
Zeringer. And when I was with Bang Records, which was the first label, Hang on Sloopy, there's a little picture of a Derringer. And for some reason, Zeringer as a name, people could never pronounce it. They could never remember it, even though it's not that different from Derringer. But I saw that little Derringer gun, and I had this dream where the Z just dropped away, and my middle initial, D, which is my middle initial, moved over in its place, and I became Derringer.
Huh.
Yeah.
A little gun, a little firecracker gun. That's us. That's you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
The rest is
The rest is
history.
history.
So Al, I also know that you never got a chance to work with Prince, and obviously it's probably gonna be a little difficult now. But if you did,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
not for Al. No, not for Al. I'm
Maybe
sorry.
Al could do it.
Not for Al. But
Nobody else
can you
can.
tell us what an idea of a Prince song that you would parody?
Oh God, I had like a half a dozen ideas. I would approach him every couple of years with an idea to see if he developed a sense of humor, and it just kind of never really happened.
He's a very shy kind of guy.
He's well in a way.
Because Michael Jackson isn't.
Yeah. No, the Prince was very shy until he hit the stage.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
because
he was an odd duck.
Yeah, he was.
actually, there's supposed to be a Prince song in my movie UHF. We wound up doing it with Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, but it was originally going to be Let's Go Crazy, using the lyrics of the Beverly Hillbillies. That was the original, originally in the script. And there was also, I had all sorts of ideas. There was one for 1999. It was going to be like a Mr. Popeil kind of commercial, like a late night commercial, like all the things you can get for just $19.99, that kind of thing. But I had a bunch of ideas, and he just never was into it.
So
He's like the only guy.
Now it's good. By the time 2022 rolls around, it'll be. Is it 2 years since you have toured at that point?
Yeah, we did the ill-advised Vanity tour in 2018, and then 2019 we did an orchestral tour. I toured the country with like a full-on orchestra, which was crazy. And then last year was nothing, obviously, and this year looks to be nothing. And then so it will have been 3 years since the previous tour.
So will you have how much of your show will be comprised of new material?
Don't know. I mean, I'm not doing a lot of new material right now. I thought that once I'd fulfilled my album contract, I'd feel a lot more free and more creative. And instead, like Rick, I'm finding out that doing nothing is fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There might be some new material, but it's mostly going to be pulling from the back catalog, I think.
When you go into 7-Eleven, you go into the grocery store, I mean, do you ever find that you have to put on the rubber nose and the black glasses and a baseball hat? Do you have to do that?
Well, that doesn't work, because if I do that, people go, "Oh, look, it's Al with a rubber nose," you know. But the thing is, I live in Los Angeles, where people don't flip out at you for they're sort of used to seeing semi-famous people in the street and other grocery stores. So it's not like I have to monitor my garbage and make sure that nobody's stealing it at night. I mean, people don't. Sometimes on the road, if I'm in pockets of the country where they don't see celebrities that often, then it becomes more of a thing. But LA, it's really not critical.
Yeah,
I wore the rubber nose with the mustache and everything. People thought I was Carmine in the grocery store.
Oh man!
Thank you, Vin.
This is what we go through every week. You know, Rick. I've been blessed myself here at the Arcana Theater in St. Charles to have you perform on our stage in several incarnations and packages and doing your show. But I gotta say, one of the warmest, I guess, or sweetest, or just I really love when you're here with Edgar. You've got this relationship.
I was going to say Edgar.
Yeah, you're right. You guessed it, Carm, because we all know just what an amazingly wonderful individual Edgar is.
Yes.
But to see you guys together, Rick, and you can see that you've got the history and you've got the connection.
Yeah, well, I loved Edgar. I loved Johnny.
Sure.
Johnny he hated the saxophone.
Oh, okay.
He just hated the saxophone. So they didn't always get along musically like you'd think they would. But Johnny certainly was an individual like no other, and Edgar equally is an individual like no other.
No other. He really is one of the sweetest guys. And you guys, again, we just appreciate so much what you guys have given us. I mean, I think to myself, Lee, I'm on the other side of the coin. I put on the shows and bring you guys in, and I look at you guys, all four of you guys actually, and Jenna too, and I marvel. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your guys' skirt here. I marvel at the creativity and the products that you've given us and the lives you guys have touched. And I can't. Does it ever hit you guys at all? Like, wait a second. Like, I was the drummer in Black Sabbath. I've done this and I've done that. It's just amazing to me. Has that ever hit any one of you?
I was at a table one night having dinner on the road with a show where there were 6 or 8 really famous guitar players there. And we were all sitting at this dinner table, and it just dawned on me. I said, the 6 or 8 of us, however many there were, I said, we are just blessed. We are blessed like no other. Guitar people can play their whole lives and never get the opportunities or the skill that we all have, and it just came from God. It's something we can't claim it necessarily as ours. We didn't have any special desire desire we had, but we didn't work as hard as a lot of people. It just came to us because we were blessed by God with that ability, and it's amazing. I told them that, and they all agreed.
No other way to explain it.
It's true.
Well, you know what? You guys are blessed with talent, and we as fans are blessed with you guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Hangin' and Bangin' this week, where every Thursday night we talk to some of the biggest people, rock and roll entertainment, with my brothers, Vinny and Carmine. We'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, you got to smash that like button, smash that share button. You'll see us on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on our YouTube page. Share it, get it out there, because we are at our 46th episode, coming up to 52, our 1-year anniversary.
We got to do something on 52. I don't know.
I can't make the 52nd one.
I think we have 52 guests.
I'm out of town.
Let's just have quick vignettes from 52 guests. I mean, Al and Rick, I'm sure, would love to be a part of it.
Oh.
All right, guys. All the best to you, Al. Really,
Yeah,
thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thanks,
Al,
Al.
thank you,
Rick.
dude. Thanks.
We'll see you
see you
next
I'll
week.
see you.
Thank you, guys.
Artists on Lockdown.
Good seeing you,
Hanging and
Al.
banging. Good night,
See you
everybody.
later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was fun.